Hi, this is Sarah Hoffman, and this is my presentation on Leonard Bernstein, Genius from a Young Age. Slide 1. He came and he went. Leonard Bernstein was born August 25th, 1918 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. He died October 14th, 1990 at his apartment at the Dakota on the Upper West Side, Manhattan. He was 72 years old. In the caption it says, "I can't live one day without hearing music, playing it, studying it, or thinking about it." Leonard Bernstein graduated cum laude in music from Harvard University. He said, "I've always counted my years at Harvard among my greatest musical assets for the general non-musical training given me there that opened my mind to the world's work in different fields to human thinking." Okay, November 13th, 1943, Leonard began his work with the New York Philharmonic at Carnegie Hall, substituting for Bruno Walter. His career lasted there over a decade, and I included a little snippet from the local newspaper, well, the New York Times, just kind of covering the information of Leonard and how young he was when he stepped up to start substituting as a conductor. For the historical era part of Leonard Bernstein, there was so much to choose from. I really had a difficult time. And instead of building a 78-page deck with his history and everything he accomplished, all the amazing people he met in his lifetime, and historical figures, I chose a few things at each decade to highlight. So starting in the 1940s, on July 7th, he made his first appearance as a symphonic director at the newly opened Berkshire Music Center of the Tanglewood Music Festival. July 11th, 1941, he made his debut with the Boston Pops Orchestra after winning the Boston Herald Traveler Music Quiz. October 8th, 1945, he began his 3-year directorship of the New York Symphony. In the 1950s, July 28th, in 1954, On the Waterfront premiered in New York City. Through Leonard Bernstein's score for the film did not win an Oscar, the film did win 8 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Leading Actor, Best Supporting Actress, and Best Director. January 18th, 1958, he conducted his first Young People's Concert just 2 weeks after becoming the music director of the New York Philharmonic. The Bernstein era continues. In the 1960s, January 19th, 1961, he conducted the National Symphony Orchestra at the pre-inaugural gala for President John F. Kennedy in a fanfare, which he composed for the occasions, as well at Stars and Stripes, Forever, and Handel's Hallelujah Chorus. In the 1970s, December 15th, 1971, he conducts his 1000th concert with the New York Philharmonic, performing Mahler's Symphony No. 2, Resurrection. In June 23rd, 1973, he conducted his Chichester Psalms and Bach's Magnificent for Pope Paul V in the celebration of the 10th anniversary of his valuation to the papacy. Bernstein finalized. In the 1980s, June 12, 1981, he conducted Kaddish Halley and the 3 meditations from the Masses with the Santa Cecilia Orchestra honoring Pope John Paul II at the Vatican. On May 6, 1986, he conducted the London Symphony Orchestra in a concert of his works at the Barbican Center as part of a 2-week Bernstein Festival. Queen Elizabeth II was in attendance at the concert. Like I was saying on the previous slide, throughout his history, his personal history, he has met and conducted for almost everyone of any of importance in a leadership role around the globe. In the 1990s, August 19th, 1990, he led the Boston Symphony Orchestra at Tanglewood in what would be his final concert. The socioeconomic conditions varied over Lenny's lifetime. From the time he was born, the economy had its ups and downs. There was the Great Depression, then the economy rebounded. But Lenny was around for a couple of wars: World War II, the Vietnam War, the Cold War, when the stock market crashed, and in the 80s when the uptick of the economy, when he died. Due to his career, he was able to live a really comfortable lifestyle. He seemed to be able to afford to go and do wherever he wanted. And he had the money to support his family in a very lavish lifestyle and kind of indulge in things he wanted whenever he wanted. Political conditions of his era were there was a lot of change happening within the United States, working through the Depression, turning the country around, working through wars and the economy struggling. That's all a lot of stuff. He got to meet some of the most controversial presidents at the time: JFK, which he hung out with socially, and he protested the Vietnam War, and he conducted for the Pope numerous times. So politically, he was very involved at many levels. He was really passionate about a few things. That's why he protested the war. He didn't feel it was right. But he also made friends with some of the more liberal, controversial people in the time, which was also interesting. How the religious conditions were changing as people transitioned to a more liberal lifestyle, and Lenny contributed to this and embraced it. The Catholic Church had always been very influential and continued to be that way throughout his life. He conducted multiple concerts for the Pope. He worked on a lot of religious pieces, but I'm not finding he was overly devout. His choices over the years displayed someone who's highly successful and has a huge ego and did what he wanted. Unique contributions. Lenny was flamboyant. He was masculine in a good-looking way, like a Wayne Newton of the sympathy. He was confident and had the ability to take different pieces of music from all over the world and make them work together. His style was various classical pieces, and he used his sonata form. Some of Lenny's important works were the ballad Die Buch, the musical 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and the local sympathy Songfest, the semi-autobiographical opera Quiet Place, and the orchestral suite Jubilee Games is just a few things that were really important works of his at the time. Here's my YouTube video that I picked of the piece that I'm going to talk about in depth for Lenny Bernstein. If I were in class, I'd play the YouTube video, but since I'm not, I'm just going to talk through it on the next slide. If I were in a class, I would click on the YouTube video and I would play the video for the entire class. And then I would just talk about the video itself and how Bell joined the European Spring 2013 tour to perform Bernstein's Serenade. Here, he rehearses with Alan Gilbert and the New York Philharmonic in Istanbul for the work's first performance on the tour that night. Symphony Orchestra performs the piece. The rhythm is quick and the tempo is fast, with sections that slow to make the listener pause. The melody is a combination of intervals, some smooth flowing, others have small skips. Texture is polyphony. The timbre is pleasant and relaxing. It's vibrant and quick, but in a calm manner. Dynamics rise and fall as the orchestra plays through the piece. The volume will increase and decrease as they work through the music. This sets the tone for the listener. Here are my references in my YouTube video link. I tried to really do a good job digging in and reading a lot of information on Lenny Bernstein to understand him as a person and how his aunt found out, when he was 6 or 10 at a young age that he was musically inclined with the piano. And then his life jumped from there, and he lived and breathed music his entire lifetime. I hope this presentation was good, and have a great day. Thank you.